He says that they're spread too thin, just the 6 of them. Yeah, by the way, who he? Huh? Who he? Who he is? Who he be? Who he is be? Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another comically long review. We stand, well, I guess I sit, on the cusp of something really significant. The story has only just barely hinted at it so far, so I can't go into too much detail, but I will say that it changed the story of these comics for good up to this point in their run, and it's also changing the methodology with which I'm reviewing them. But for now, let's just get down to business. Let's take a look at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issues number 23, 24, and 25. Yes, last week I said I was only reviewing issues 23 and 24. Full disclosure, I got the endings mixed up, and 25 doesn't end where I thought it ended, so it is safe to review. Let's just get going before this gets more complicated. 4 covers for issue 23, but the only one that stands out is this one. It's kind of a neat playing card or tarot card look with the green and white Rangers juxtaposed. Rita is finally back from her trip to find the Wizard of Deception, returning to the moon base. Squat plays the optimist, saying it's not so bad and it could have truly been wrecked. But Rita just plays fixer-upper, using some magic to set things back as they were. Rita takes a seat upon her throne and says the first order of business is finding Finster, then dealing with the Rangers. Speaking of, the Rangers are fighting a rather interesting monster. His name is Sheeple, and his gimmick is a parody of the whole tinfoil hat, fake news, conspiracy theory thing. He keeps screaming, "Only one Olsen!" which from what I can tell with some quick Googling is referencing John Oliver's own parody of conspiracy theorists. The Rangers seem remarkably unconcerned about this monster, more trying to figure out its name and motif versus, destroying it. Sheeple has the ability to generate little sheep that spout other conspiracy theories, like Earth is flat and etc., etc. The action cuts back to Promethea, where the satellites have a ping on a new monster. But it hasn't changed yet, and to make matters worse, for some reason they can't narrow in on the exact location beyond 4 city blocks. Grace gathers a team and heads out, saying she'll tell the Rangers when they're done in New York. The Rangers destroy the sheep as they spout more conspiracies like "there was a second shooter," referencing John F. Kennedy's assassination, and "Paul is dead," referring to a theory that the Beatles' Paul McCartney died in 1966. Sheeple then reveals a new power able to generate waves of wool that just pull people inside. The situation is escalated, the Rangers getting serious and suddenly realizing that they should probably do something about this. Billy suddenly gets an idea and summons the Triceratops Zord, telling the other Rangers to stall. Jason tells him to make with the plan, and Billy says since Sheeple is controlling the wool with his voice, he can use that against him. He programs his Zord to change his voice into Sheeple's, broadcasting it more strongly than the monster's actual voice. He commands the wool to release the prisoners. And it does so. He then commands the wool to attack me, and it follows that instruction as well, attacking Sheeple. Taking the monster out with one last "Paul is..." The Rangers congratulate Billy on his quick thinking, but Grace then calls and orders the Rangers to Vancouver. They do not like what they see when they arrive. Promethea has the area on lockdown, sweeping the streets to find the monster. The Rangers are incredulous that Grace has basically instituted a police state, but she doesn't budge an inch, saying this is what they have to do. Jason sends Billy back to Promethea to try and improve the scanner tech, and in the meantime, Grace won't hear a word about her methods until the Rangers grab a scanner and try to make this process as quick as possible. In the pocket dimension, Finster sits imprisoned, but Rita then speaks to him. She tells him he's been wasting his time and to come along now. He seems to break his glasses, kind of turning them into some kind of magic wand. He opens a portal with them and just leaves. So he was able to leave at any time. It's just that without Rita around, he had no reason to.
There's only one thing I value in this world, Stephen, and that's loyalty. And without it, you're nothing.
At Promethea, Billy has indeed improved the scanner, cutting the time it takes to scan in half. He gives the prototype to Trini to take to Vancouver while he puts together more. Grace's assistant, Andrea, chats with him, wondering what to call him since he can't tell her who he is. He then reveals something interesting. In talking about how amazing Promethea is, he mentions how small their energy footprint is. Heck, if not for some single wing of the facility accounting for 1/4 of their energy output, it would be even smaller. This obviously begs two questions. One being how they keep their energy output so low, and two, what the heck is in that wing?
What's in the west?
It's forbidden.
As the Rangers in Vancouver decide more strongly that what Grace is doing isn't right, Billy gets all sneaky and heads for the secret wing. But it's guarded, so of course he goes around the corner and then teleports through the door. This again begs the question of how the Rangers can decide where to teleport via their communicator. But maybe since the Ranger system can download info into their brains, it's just something that's mentally linked and they can kind of think of a location and teleport there. You know, like the Tomorrow People. Inside, Billy could never imagine what he would find. A man held in heavy restraints. That's right, Billy. Go ahead. You can say my name. In fact, Lord Draken demands it. A trend I've started noticing with these comics is that they really like their big whammy reveals right at the end of an issue, though I suppose that's true of a lot of comic books. That can make them a little trickier to review because I kind of have to put the reveal on the back burner at first and think about the overall story of the issue. Issue 23 felt kind of like a transitionary issue. A lot of it was mainly one monster fight, but I really liked that monster fight since this was a fun monster with an interesting motif, and it just kind of felt more episodic, kind of like the TV show, than the comics usually do. But then we go right back into intrigues with Promethea between Grace's harsh methods, and then yes, the reveal that Promethea captured Lord Draken and has him held alive with the Rangers knowing nothing about it. Issue 23 gets a 4 out of 5. Two covers for issue 24 are worth commenting on, and by the way, when I say that, it doesn't mean that I think the other covers are bad, it's just that I don't have as much to say about them. Anyway, one of them is this chest shot series, for lack of a better term, and it's the one for Lord Draken, holding both Saba and the Dragon Dagger. The cool thing about that is that each of those weapons has an image of its associated power coin, and that lets you see how the two combine to form the coin that's in Draken's Morpher. The other is the main cover, which right off the top hints what we're heading into. Yes, heroes, we have reached the beginning of Shattered Grid. Issue 24 is a prelude, as we see at the top of this cover. The cover itself is Lord Draken seated below a lamp as if for an interrogation, arms chained, Morpher just out of reach, and broken anyway, with Grace staring him down. Things start with Finster briefing Rita on what he was up to while she was away. It turns out he was bluffing the Rangers as he knows exactly how many he released, 14. 4 of these monsters have been destroyed, meaning 10 remain. She orders Finster to activate them all, even to make them all grow, overwhelming the Rangers and serving as a triumphant announcement of her return. And it turns out this is something he can do, he just didn't want to since this is his art and all. But she makes it clear that she's the one in charge and tells him to get to steppin'. Billy is frozen in fear at having found Lord Draken, who tells him he was pulled through the portal when the Rangers came back to their world, found by Promethea and has been held there for months. Draken messes with Billy's mind, complimenting his new build since he's been hitting the gym, saying obviously he did it because it was so obvious that Draken would return. This is interrupted by the Rangers calling for Billy since the 10 monsters, all of them giant, like I said, have been activated. I'm not afraid of you. Good. Full page spread of the 10 monsters attacking, and I like how we see Zords in some of the places, but not all, because 10 monsters, 6 Zords, that's just math. Zordon informs the Rangers that Finster has escaped, but while that's important, the Rangers are a little busy. Trini says they're spread too thin since there's just 6 of them, but then Grace says there's 7, showing up in what I'm going to call the Promethea Mechazord. She goes to Jason's location to tell him to go somewhere else, instead of, just picking a site the Rangers aren't at yet. It's so she and Jason can butt heads. He says she's not the one in charge, so she tells him to make the call then. And Jason proves his strong independent leadership skills by following Grace's lead and teleporting somewhere else, telling the Rangers to take down their monster as soon as possible and get to another location. Billy says not all of their matches are even, but then Kimberly comes to his location and saves his bacon. Or, in this case, popcorn, I guess. The monsters suddenly start dropping to their knees, feeling weakened. Rita asks Finster what's going on. He explains that these monsters have technically grown once, changing from human to monster. A second growth, aka actually growing, goes beyond what they can structurally handle. She asked why he didn't tell her that, but he says that since she so clearly told him what his place was, well, he just assumed that she knew best. The Rangers form the Megazord and basically hop from place to place, finishing the weakened monsters off. Billy warns the Rangers not to celebrate, since he's got quite the whammy to drop. Grace deboards from the Megazord, telling an aide to do some work on it, when she sees the Rangers waiting for her and looking very cross. Everyone goes to see Lord Draken, who takes some more time to tease Billy and Tommy. Grace explains how the energy spiked when he came through, so they found him, and Jason wants to talk right the heck now. He reads her the riot act, as you might expect. I love how when she says she was going to tell him about Draken when the time was right, Jason's reaction is, "Are you kidding me?" You imagine that he's frustrated that another authority in his life is trying to tell him that garbage, but he doesn't really actually say that out loud. Grace says her reasoning is that they have Draken securely locked up, so why worry him about it when there were more pressing matters? Jason says their partnership is just not going to work anymore. He sympathizes with what happened to her on the moon, but clearly something inside of her broke on that day, and he won't risk the lives of his teammates on that any longer. Zordon calls, saying that they should discuss the situation, and they teleport away. The Rangers discuss the situation, realizing that if Rita finds out Draken is alive and in their dimension, the two of them could team up, and, well, we saw what happens when Draken and Rita team up in his dimension. Zordon agrees that immediate action is needed, and then says that he, Alpha, and Saba need to think it over. He gives the team the night off, basically, but asks Jason to stay back a minute. The two have a conversation that interestingly inverts their previous one, showing that life can be complicated sometimes. Jason feels like Zordon was right, that Grace stands on a slippery slope and she has the wrong ideas. But Zordon now defends Grace, saying she has made the world better, and he promises Jason that one day he will make the wrong decision for the right reason. Zordon says they can only control what they're able to control, and they have to accept what they can't. Those words seem to resonate with Saba because we zoom in on him. Saba goes to Promethea with the intention of assassinating Lord Draken, saying he's seen what the man is capable of and cannot allow him to survive in this world and turn it into what he did to his. He warms up a laser beam and fires it straight at Draken, and makes a mistake that will resonate throughout this dimension's history. Saba missed. The beam strikes cables behind Draken, which deactivates his restraints. Draken dives at Saba, grabbing him and snapping his head off, effectively killing the saber, meaning now he's just a sword. Draken says some magic things to open a portal, grabs Saba's head, and then walks through the portal, escaping. Well, here we go again, huh? Whammy right at the end. Gotta focus on the story first. 24 felt like more transition. The thing with Finster's human monsters actually gets kind of unceremoniously wrapped up, and I do feel like that's something they could have done more with. This was just a case of getting good story out of the way so you can get to amazing story. Grace hiding Draken and shattering her trust with the Rangers comes to the forefront, and then the best of intentions have the worst of results, as Saba's attempt to end the threat of Draken just ends up making him a threat in the first place. Issue 24 gets a 4.5 out of 5. And here we are. Issue 25 is the official start of the Shattered Grid event. Now, why am I including it in this video if it's the start of an event? Like I said, it doesn't actually end where I thought it did, and while this issue does set all of the pieces in place, I feel like the event doesn't actually get going until issue 26. But it is the first issue of an event, and whoo boy, that means it's cover time. Issue 25 has 21 different covers. For want of something to distinguish between all of them, I have 2 different versions. I guess this is something I should go ahead and address, but I'm not really a cover chaser. I care more about the story inside the comic than the picture on the front cover, and I don't feel the need to buy the same piece of story again and again just to gather up all these different covers. Not to sound unsupportive of the line beyond just buying the actual comics themselves, but if there's a cover, an alternate cover that I didn't get on my issue that I really like, I can just print it off of the web and hang it up on my wall. So then, why do I have 2 copies of this issue? It's because it was right at about this point that I started getting really frustrated with the way that Boom handles their direct subscriptions. Boom has an intentional, publicly stated, ask their customer service and they will tell you this, policy of delaying shipment to their direct subscribers until the issues are available for sale in comic book stores. Yes, that means the release date, the date the comic is in the store, available to go and drive and pick up and buy, is the day that Boom starts sending out those issues to their direct subscribers. So you're talking about another week at best before they get to the direct subscribers. Now, I totally understand and even kind of like Boom's take on this. They extremely value the local comic book store and don't offer subscriptions as a way to compete with them, but just for customers who do not have convenient access to a local comic book store. It was just kind of frustrating for me because I subscribed to Boom because I wanted to feel like I was supporting the line directly and as efficiently as possible, providing all of the profit to Boom to not even share with a local comic book store. But then I'd have to wait a week, and that was usually ideal. It was usually more like 2, if not 3, to get my hands on the latest issue. I finally got fed up with it and canceled my subscription, and for the record, Boom was incredibly understanding and professional about this. They gave me a prorated refund for my subscriptions, and now I pick up my comics from the fine folks over at Cool Comics in Valdosta, Georgia. Shout out to Andre and the fine folks over there for providing me my Power Ranger comics. So the first version I have is a very interesting version for an exclusive cover. It's an eBay store exclusive. You could only get this cover by buying issue 25 from Boom's eBay storefront. It's a wraparound cover featuring multiple Megazords standing ready for battle. The second cover is one of the few where I actually did chase after a cover. And that's because it's a Time Force cover, the 5 Time Force Rangers leaping towards the reader. Time Force is my favorite team. This was a no-brainer. For the record, this is a Fried Pie variant, and from what I can tell, Fried Pie is a company that pretty much exclusively makes variant covers for comic books. When I searched Google for Fried Pie Wikipedia, the wiki page for variant covers came up. So why is Time Force on the cover? Is that just some kind of a gimmick for the 25th anniversary on the 25th issue? Nope. The action here starts with the Time Force Rangers investigating a fracture in space-time in their Megazord. Trip asks Wes what the status of the other dimensions are, and he says not good. We see what we have come to know as the 3 Power Rangers dimensions. The core timeline, which here in the comics is represented by Mighty Morphin, just roll with it, the Dino Charge universe, and the RPM universe. And all 3 of them can see the fracture in the sky. Wes says that they have to get the Megazord inside of the fracture to stabilize it, but then it throws out waves of some kind of energy which damages the Megazord. Oh, and it tosses Trip, Lucas, and Katie out of the Megazord and into the fracture. Are they dead? Presumably, but we don't actually know for sure. Wes and Jen realize that it's too late to do anything about the fracture here and now. The nexus point of the fracture is in the past. They have to take a transportal device. Yes, this is where the transportal devices were introduced to the franchise. Saw them in Ninja Steel, the comics, and the TV show Crossing Streams. And go back in time to fix whatever the problem is at the source. Wes tells Jen to go, saying he'll take the Megazord into the fracture and hold it stable enough to give her a safe journey. They say a heartfelt goodbye, and she teleports out. Jen basically teleported downstairs within the Megazord, grabbing a jetpack and heading outside the Megazord. The Megazord then explodes, so I would definitely say that Wes is dead. Suddenly, Jen sees a massive Lord Draken within the fracture reaching for her. She flies away, activates the transportal, and moves into the time stream. We see Draken killing Saba and then escaping, but this time a helmetless Jason watches, sort of nonplussed. That's because this is actually 3D security camera footage. Draken said something before he left, but the camera quality is fudged up, probably by all the massive energy discharges. Grace offers Prometheus help in finding Draken, but Jason refuses. He's had enough of Grace, her having captured Draken and kept him secret from the Rangers. She holds her course, that telling them about Draken would have been too many issues for them to handle at the same time, but Jason coldly cuts her off, saying the Rangers will take it from here. She's frustrated, but acknowledges his decision, though she needs to tell them one more thing. Before Draken left the facility for good, he took something. Draken has located Ninjor, completing his trials in record time. This Ninjor has not yet met the Power Rangers, so Draken tells Ninjor that he's a friend of his from the future, where there's a war going on and he needs his help, restoring his powers. He holds up his Morpher, which is what he took from Promethea. The Rangers discuss the situation with Zordon at the command center. Billy and Tommy are emotionally impacted by Saba's death, Saba having saved them in Draken's dimension. Though Billy says they'll get Saba back. Somehow. I'm not sure if he means Saba's body, aka the saber, or since Saba's technological, maybe they can just restore his data. Anyway, Zack theorizes that Draken may have gone back home to his dimension, but Trini dismisses that since if Saba had the ability to cross the dimensions, he would have just brought Tommy and Billy back to theirs in the first place. Zordon agrees, but says Draken may have learned new things, but really the first priority here for him is going to be restoring his powers. The team sets out on multiple plans. Jason asks Trini to go to the Black Dragon parts and to charge up the green Chaos Crystal so they can open a portal and warn the Coinless about Draken still being alive. Billy suggests to Zordon that they set up a second shield designed to block Draken's specific energy signature, and Jason asks Alpha to look over the security footage to see what Draken said as he left Promethea. He tells the entire team to stay near their communicators and to stay ready. Kim stops Tommy to ask if he's okay, since this has to be a mind trip, but he says he's fine, especially since he has something the Draken doesn't: friends. Kim takes it a step further, finally telling Tommy what's going on between them. Between what happened with her parents and her relationship with Matt, which is dealt with more in Go-Go Power Rangers, which I'll be getting to sooner than you might realize, she's become scared of romance. Tommy says he's not trying to pressure her, but she says that he's been great. It's all her and things that she has to work out. And that all being said, she then asks him out. Meanwhile, Ninjor is working on Draken's morpher, commenting on how the powers it contains seem to have been forced together bluntly. Draken says the war forced them to act quickly, which is sort of true. Ninjor asks if they won, and Draken sneers behind Ninjor's back as he says, "So far." Draken then heads off any more questions with the whole "I can't talk about the future" thing, which Ninjor accepts. Draken comments on the books in Ninjor's palace, asking if they're all his writings. He says that some of them were gifts, and when Draken asks from whom, they work around to the fact that they were presented by the Morphin Masters, the designers and controllers of the Morphin Grid itself. Ninjor won't tell Draken what they say, and besides, he's done fixing his morpher. Draken morphs but says he feels weaker than before. Ninjor says that he just needs to rest and that he's prepared a space above the temple for him. But Draken has what he came for, so he reveals his true intentions, calling Ninjor a fool, but saying his story's not over just yet. Billy and Trini are working on the green Chaos Crystal but can't get anywhere. The only way it charges involves the Green Ranger. Trini says that they should take a break and get some coffee. Then Lord Draken steps out of the shadows and takes the crystal. Kim and Tommy leave the movie theater having seen a cheesy Hollywood action movie, but appreciating the chance to just have some fun with the idea of saving the world. Kim says they are going to beat Draken no matter what. They both say their date went well, but when Tommy leans in for a kiss, Kim holds back, wanting to take things slow. They agree to go on another date and head their separate ways. But they each kick themselves, Tommy for rushing things, while Kim tells herself that she did want to kiss Tommy. She turns around, running after him to just get that over with. A voice behind Tommy says his name, but he says, "Who?" as he turns around. And then Lord Draken stabs Tommy in the back with Saba. The green Chaos Crystal is fully charged by this. Draken teases Tommy, saying that he was right. In the moment of his greatest need, his friends are nowhere to be found. Kim then shows up, horrified by the scene and morphing in midair. She tells Draken to get away from him, but he turns to her and prepares to mess her up. But then there's a big explosion of pink energy. Jen has arrived, and befitting Jen, she comes out shooting the big guns. Kim starts to ask who she is, but Jen says shut up and shoot. They blast Draken back, and he opens a portal back home, retreating. Jen asks where he went, but Kim doesn't care, demorphing and running to Tommy. So, that's what she meant. Kimberly begs Tommy to stay with her, but he slips away. Not breathing, no pulse. Jen says it's too late, he's gone. Kim screams into her communicator for help and begs for him not to be gone. But he is. Tommy Oliver is dead. I've already talked twice about the whammy endings to these issues, but whoa. I mean, even as I was writing the script for this, I was trying to make myself think about the story of the issue and not just this ending, and it's just really difficult. I really like how Jason rallied the troops without Prometheus' help, showcasing how resourceful the Rangers can be all on their own. Then we had the kind of quiet points in the middle with Tommy and Kim's building relationship and Draken fooling Ninjor into fixing his powers, which were each interesting in their own way. But yeah, we have reached it. This is actually the point I thought that was at the end of issue 24, and that's why I was saying I was going to cut that review there and then do 25 in another video. Sword to the back. Tommy Oliver is dead as the Green Ranger. Now, comic book death is rarely permanent. There's even a trope that I think is named after that. So if you haven't read this far, you can't even be sure if Tommy's going to be dead in the next issue. I mean, you'll find out next week, right? No, I'm afraid not. And the reason is perfectly encapsulated by something Tommy said when he died. So that's what she meant. There's stuff going on over in the other comic line, Go-Go Power Rangers, that is vital to this story, and GGPR is also involved in the Shattered Grid event. So as I was thinking about the schedule for this series going forward, I realized it didn't really make sense to go through Shattered Grid from one side of the story and then double back and go through it from the other side. Better to handle Shattered Grid as the amazing crossover event between lines that it was, covering all the relevant issues in as close to order as I can manage. So that is what's going to happen. But first, I have a little bit of catching up to do, don't I? Now, the TV show's off-season is running a little bit longer than I thought it was going to, so I've decided to use that time to help catch things up over here. Next time on a Comically Long Review, we rewind this story all the way back to the beginning, and I mean all the way back, as I review Go-Go Power Rangers issues number 1, 2, and 3. However, both video slots for the rest of the off-season are going to be dedicated to Comically Long Reviews. So, next week I will also be reviewing Go-Go Power Rangers issues number 4, 5, and 6. The first slot the week after that will be Go-Go Power Rangers number 7 and 8, and then in the second slot we'll be ready to dive into a Comically Long Review, Power Rangers Shattered Grid. For now, that's going to do it for another Comically Long Review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. In the comments below, let me know what you thought. What were your thoughts when you saw Tommy Oliver get stabbed in the back by himself with a weapon that was once destined to be his, and he died on the pavement in Kimberly's arms? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're down in those comments, go ahead and smack that thumbs up button, give me a like, let me know that you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to see all my videos, and ring the bell, get your notifications set up, so you are notified of whenever I post brand new videos like these Comically Long Reviews. And if you would like to lend any financial support to my channel, which would be doubly appreciated seeing as it's been demonetized by YouTube, there are two ways that you can do so. You can head over to ko-fi.com/orangerangervideos, donate me a coffee. Those are set at $3 a piece. I greatly appreciate those. However, if you'd like to donate less or a different amount, head over to digitaltipjar.com/orangerangervid. Toss in whatever amount you'd like. I appreciate anything that lands inside. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. Rita takes her seat upon her throne and says, her seat upon her throne? Chest shot series is the best way I can think to describe it. There are two covers for issue 24 that I think are worth... I usually say the number, I guess I didn't. Combined to form Draken's coin in his belt morpher. Belt morpher? And this is something that he can actually do. Zordon informs the Rangers that Finster has escaped, but while that's important, the Rangers are a little busy. Zordon says that he can only Draken and snapping off his head, effectively killing the Saber, now meaning Draken dives at Saba, grabs him, and snaps his head off. Oh, shit. It's a wraparound cover featuring gosh, okay. So, the first version of oh god, okay, here we go. It's fine. Jen says it's too late. He's gone. Kim screams into her. I've already talked twice about the whammy endings to these issues, but wow! Wow!